Hello and welcome to doityourself3d.org's video tutorials. Today's lesson we're just going to go over a few basic commands on how to navigate the scenes, how to create some simple objects, and using a couple shortcuts to get you started in Maya 2011. The first thing you're going to notice is the giant viewport right in the center of your program. This is how you're going to be navigating through the 3D space. You can toggle through the different modes simply by pressing spacebar, and you're going to see your top, front side and the right of it, and you can hover over individual spaces with your mouse and just press space at any time to go right into that mode. For right now we're just going to stay in the main perspective mode. First thing, you're going to want to go into the polygons tab, which is located right here, and let's go ahead and create a cube just so we can play around with it. Go ahead and do polygon primitives and cube. You can create an object by clicking and defining the various values for the X, Y, and Z, holding Shift to get a uniform scaled square, or simply clicking into the scene and it will define whatever the last settings were into your scene. I'm just going to hold Shift and give it something like here. Okay, so we just see a wireframe of our object, and starting with numbers on our keyboard. Number 1 is just your regular smoothness. Number 2 is what the inside geometry is, what it would look like if it was subdivided. And number 3 is that object itself. You can toggle between those three at any time and it won't actually affect your geometry. It's just kind of there to give you an idea of what things would look like. Number 4 is your wireframe mode, which we're already in. So let's go to number 5, which is the smooth shade, and just as an example, 4 and 5, toggling in between that. I'm just going to throw this back on key 1 so that we can get back to our cube. 6, which we can't see it right now, it would display our textures if we had any color on this. And 7 on our keyboard, you notice my object goes black. It's actually displaying what the lights in the scene would look like if there was a light shining on the object. So just to kind of show you what I mean by that, I'll just create this light real quick. And as I move this around, it gives you an idea of how that would render out. So I'm going back into mode 5 so we can see a solid object. And just to control this object, by clicking it, by default, you're going to select the entire object. If you wanted to select a particular face or vertex or maybe an edge, you can first select the object, hold down the right click button, and change what you're going to switch to. Edge, vertex, face, and that will allow you to select the different faces. To cancel out of a selection, you could either click it again while holding Shift to toggle selection in between it, or drag off into the empty space. Okay, controlling the position of our object is done in object mode, so press F8 as a shortcut on your keyboard. And to move the object around in our 3D space for positioning, you're going to want to select the Move tool, which is located right over here, or you could simply press W. And down here in the bottom left corner, you see, as I rotate this camera around, a X, Y, and Z plane. Y is our up and down of the space, and the X and Z are the positions in the 3D space on the flat plane. You can rotate your object the same way by either pressing E on our keyboard or moving over to this button on the side. You can rotate on the X and Z or the Y. R is actually for scale. You could do just one of several things. The yellow block in the center is for a uniform scale, similar to how we made our object by holding Shift. The red correlates with the x-axis, blue with the z, You can even go backwards and change things up. Green is our Y. If ever you get real far out into your scene and you want to quickly get back to your object, you can simply press the object and hit F on your keyboard, and it'll zoom in to where the entire object will be visible in your view plane. And you can also do this for particular faces and vertices. Let's see. Makes it nice and easy to play around with. How I'm spinning the camera around is actually I'm holding Alt, and with the left mouse button I'm just clicking, holding that, and dragging around my viewscape. The right mouse button, if I move it left and right while holding it down, zooms in and out, and the middle mouse button kind of positions where my grid's going to be in my scene, so that way I can get a little bit lower and move my camera down to get more flat or get higher. So it's just convenient, becomes second nature after a little while, and you just got to get used to it. But that's how you move around. One of the last things I want to go over in this lesson is just as a quick way of still being in your perspective and not having to alternate between the different view modes, especially if you don't have all the shaders set up for them. You have a view cube up in the top right corner of your perspective window, and it actually tells you the right, front, top, where you want to go, and if you click it, it'll bring you right to it. So you can rotate the camera angle, go to the top, get the nice edge, or for rendering purposes you'd probably want to do an angle from the top corner. So that's just a quick way to navigate around your scene without having to do much camera positioning or going through the different view modes. And that about wraps up this tutorial on how to navigate 3D spaces in Maya 2011 with learning a couple shortcuts along the way. Please visit DIY3D.org for more video tutorials on Maya.